Hey guys, Jim here. Let's take a look now at another new release from Liong Mah and Reate knives. This one is called the Remedy. Now, for those that are looking at this going, well, that doesn't look a lot different than the first piece they put out. Let's take a look and see what the differences are. So we take a look here at the Warrior 1, which was the original release, the Remedy, and of course the Ace. This is the triple play from Liong. These are the three production knives that he's had done through Reate, and they're all remarkably similar as far as the incredible firing action, the smoothness in the action, and the overall finishes. They all come with a stonewash handle, stonewash blade. This one's different just because it was the prototype. So this is how they're all going to come. Now when we take a look at them, get them open, you'll see that there are some pretty big differences in the profiles of the blade, the overall shape of the handle, and all that kind of good stuff. So it's only when they're really open that you see, oh wow, they are completely different. There's not really a similarity between any of the three designs. So if you've ever just looked at pictures online and went, well, I don't know which one to get, they all kind of seem the same. When you put them side by side, you do see the differences are, quite substantial. There's not a lot to really go into here that has not already been discussed on the Warrior 1 video or on the Ace video. But it's important to mention that the same degree of quality is going into this. Slight differences in the way the finishes are done, little bit of difference in the pivot. This is using a custom pivot this time around, so it's a little bit different. It's the same basic idea, just a little bit nicer. And the finishing they've actually done on the frame, if I can get it to focus here. When I discussed this with Liong, he says it's almost like a blue jean material. And it really is. The look of the pattern in there almost looks like you're looking at like a close-up of a pair of jeans. So that's another little difference there. You're going to see the signature, I don't know what you want to call this. You don't really want to call it a swedge, I don't suppose, but the way that he has flatten off the angles on the frame. That's a signature of Liong, something he does often, and he generally brings that into the blade as well, so it kind of follows from the frame into the blade. Some of the great things that you can look forward to in this knife that you've seen in other Reate Liong Mah collaborations, right here, S35VN, great steel, and they do an amazing job sharpening these. These are stupid sharp, great edge, very consistent all the way down. You're going to be getting the steel lock face, so you're going to get the steel lock bar insert, where when you look at it from this side, all you see is titanium. You don't see where the titanium bar is cut. Then the steel lock bar insert is attached onto it. It's hidden inside. It also serves as an over travel as well, so you won't overextend your titanium lock bar. So all that kind of cleverly hidden in there with one piece of hardware exposing it. The other thing I kind of dig is the lock bar cutout itself. Now there are two things that are making that seem a little bit more dramatic. Number one, the fact that it is not a straight lock bar cutout like you're used to seeing on most frame locks. And number two, you don't have a big giant clip mounted low and coming across the majority of the lock bar. Instead, they mounted it high up on the frame. It's very, very small, but it's also contoured to match the contours of the frame. Ah, isn't that cool? And now you're thinking, it's a really teeny tiny little clip. Is it going to work well? Actually, yeah, it does. I've carried this a couple of times, cut myself a couple of times, as a matter of fact. And it really carries wonderfully. It almost disappears in the pocket. They do give you the lanyard opening, so if you do want to carry it with a lanyard, you have the ability, but I really don't see a need to do so, because if you take a look here at the way this has been built, your pocket is going to stop the knife right there. So you have this much left over hanging up out of the pocket that you're able to grab onto with whatever part of your hand. You've got a 3 3/4 inch blade, so it's a little bit larger than I actually expected it to be. I thought this was going to be a 3.5. And when you compare it to the Warrior 1, it's quite a difference as a matter of fact. Let's put them butt to butt. and you'll see you have quite a bit of difference. This is a very compact 3.5-inch knife on the Warrior 1, so that's worth keeping in mind. Whereas, and I'll show you what I mean by that, that blade really goes to the very edge of the handles, yet you'll see it's not snagging my finger. And with this, you have just a little tiny little bit of room left over. So the handle is just a little bit bigger than the blade itself. Now what this is going to give you, wonderful ergonomics. Liong's very good about designing a knife that's comfortable to hold in the hand. But when you look at something like the Warrior 1, while I love it, it's a pretty straightforward, straight-bodied knife. You don't have a lot of swells, you don't have a lot of curvature going on. What he's done to make that comfortable is give you the very large recess here, and then they've beveled off along the edges. So even though it's a straight-bodied knife, it is actually quite comfortable, but it is a straight knife, no way to get around it. Here what you've got, and it's not immediately noticeable, but it does come up to a little hump right here, and then it comes back down toward the butt end of the frame. That's nicely rounded off, so if you're actually going to be carrying it or using it in a reverse handhold, you've actually got a nice comfortable area for your thumb to wrap around. No sharp edge here, no sharp edge here to be digging into you. So you've got that little bit of a hump back there. It comes back up around here, and there's a bit of a relief. And behind that relief is that large finger choil there. So believe it or not, even though it looks more like a straight-bodied knife like this, it fits almost as comfortably as the Ace. And I'll tell you right now, the Ace, if you're looking pure ergonomics, the most comfortable, I'd be buying an Ace. That to me is the most comfortable design that Liong has done so far. But this is a very, very close number 2. It's also a very short handle, very narrow, so it's not taking up a lot of room in the hand. You don't have to have a big giant hand to handle this. As a matter of fact, the Ace is better off for a large hand. The Remedy is better off for a more medium to large hand. The jimping, as always, is properly placed. Very, very well done. It's not too bitey, but it does work. It's a little slick. It's not going to be the strongest jimping you've ever seen in your life, but it works well. Flipper tab is shaped very nicely. It's very easy to get to. It's pretty much right in front of the pivot, and you've got a little bit of jimping on there as well, so it gives you very easy access. You'll notice I'm being a little more cautious than usual. The day that I got this, I did a little Instagram video, and I did that. I opened the lock bar, and I dropped the blade, and it barely kissed me, and it sliced me open, and I bled for about 30 minutes. So I'm being a little more cautious than I usually am, because I know this one is just stupid sharp. So you got a good sharp knife, full flat grind. Actually, it's not a full flat, it's a high flat, because you do have that little partition right there, so you see the blade flats and a top swedge. Full flat would mean it goes all the way up to the spine of the blade, so it's a very high flat, very, very comfortable, very easy to cut with, very easy to carry in the pocket. It's one of those knives that you're going to find yourself reaching for a lot. This is not your premier grade, super high-end custom. Nobody's saying it is. It is a production knife. It's one that you're not going to mind using. You're going to carry in the pocket all day, and that great stone wash finish is going to hide some of the, the daily carry blemishes that are going to come across your handles and your blades. It's a great blade shape. It's a useful blade shape. While I do prefer the Warrior 1, this is the kind of blade shape that some people find to be impractical. It's not going to EDC as well for a lot of people because it's not a straightforward cutting blade. This one is. You've got some nice ergonomics here to that. It's going to be a good slicer. It's got a really, really nice edge. So I don't really think we're going to hear from people saying, well, it looks cool and the action is awesome and it's a cool, trendy little flipper, but it's not practical for me. This is not one of those knives. It is going to be a practical carry knife. And I think that's where a lot of people are going to really jump on board with this. They've already seen the others and went, well, shit, those are cool knives. That's a little bit way out for me. That's a little bit too small for my hand. This is the right size, it's the right blade shape, it's not going to be cumbersome in any way for a daily carry. This is the kind of knife that maybe everybody can look at and go, this is a good all-around EDC. And you know what? That's important. We all have our flashy custom knives, or our flashy mid-tech knives, or our flashy production knives that, you know, they're probably not going to use used all that often. We got a, you know, pretty finish on the blade or a pretty finish on the handle. And there are days we're going to go, oh no, I don't want to put that in my pocket. I don't want to get that screwed up. This is the knife that's all around. It's every day. And it's still got some cool factor. Look at that fully sculpted 3D titanium clip, where the sculpting matches the sculpting in the frame. That's a nice little feature. It's a nice little call out when somebody's taking a look at your knife and they're expecting, you know, they're holding a $300 production knife. Oh, it's going to be all that special. No, it's got some special shit to it. We already talked about the lock interface. We talked about the lock bar cutout being unique and being more exposed. You look at the way the blade has been fit into the frame. Very nicely done. Not something that you always see. As a matter of fact, we'll take a look right here. You don't see that here in the Ace. Nice fit all the way around. They've done the hidden stop pins. So they're hidden when the knife is closed and hidden when the knife is open. There's always that battle for a knife maker. Do I use an internal stop pin? Do I use an exposed stop pin? Do I put stop pins up on the blade? How is it that I want to do this? And sometimes it just comes down to I like or don't like how one looks. You know, this is not the kind of knife, I think, because of the way of how sleek it is, that I'd want to have exposed stop pins in the blade. Having an exposed stop pin back here that the blade then locks into, maybe that wouldn't look so bad, but maybe they wanted that completely clean. Oops, I knew I was going to do that soon. Completely clean pass-through look without that pin sitting right there. Instead, they do have them on the blade, but you never see them in the open or closed position. Very slick, very cool. That's the exact same way the Warrior 1 was made. Nice thought has been put into all of these. And when you think about the fact that this is again, we go back to that production knife made in China, you're thinking they're going to do things as quickly and cheaply as possible to get that product out. Instead, everything we've seen Reate do, whether it be partnering with Todd Begg and doing the Steelcraft series, partnering with Liong and doing these three great knives, or doing their own knives in their own production, they have taken the time to do the right things, to produce a quality knife for a price that's almost unbeatable, and giving you an action, a detent, a lockup that is almost unrivaled in their price sector. How can you beat that? And when you've got a great balance all the way around, the way that it feels in the hand, the lightning fast action, the smooth opening and closing, the ceramic bearings, the ceramic detent, you're looking at high quality all the way around. S35 VN steel. Fantastic. Now, I've gotten a lot of this lately. Would you buy for $300 to $400, depending on the various Reate knife that you're looking at, an S35 VN, would you buy that or would you buy a Sebenza? I try to answer that as diplomatically as I can because there really is no apples to apples comparison. Chris Reeve is probably never going to make a flipper. I like flipper knives. So when it comes down to that basic want or desire, I'm probably going to go this route because, well, I love flippers. The quality of the steel is the same. The quality of the construction is the same, and with earlier lockup. We know that Reeve knives tend to have a very late lockup, 60 to 90%, depending on, how long you've had it. And yes, you'll see some over the course of their lifetime go to almost 100%. Here, good early lockup, but still solid engagement. I have steel on steel engagement, not titanium on steel like I would with a Sebenza. So that's why you're going to start seeing that lock move over a little bit over time. The softer titanium hitting up against the hardened steel at all times is going to wear it down. It's a smoother action. It's a faster action. It's something that I'm going to want to play with more often. Listen, I love my Sebenza, and there's no way that you can ever talk down about one. It's one of the best, solid, all-around, everyday carry knives you can buy, period. But this is in that league. It's in that category, yet it's just a little bit different. I've got something I can play with. I can flip it, flip it, flip it, flip it, flip it, over and over and over in that little OCD way that we do as knife collectors, or knife people, I should say. It's got everything that I would want in a Sebenza and a few extra things that the Sebenza does not yet have. Does that make the Sebenza bad? No, I'm not giving you that comparison. I'm just saying this is as good with a few extra things that I personally would want to have. Maybe you're not a flipper person, so that doesn't even count into the evaluation. So that puts you a little bit closer toward the Sebenza, doesn't it? I've got the same finish here, the same great stonewash finish that Chris Reeve has made famous on S35VN, which he helped to develop. So there's a lot of close comparisons here. I like the ergonomics on this knife a lot more. Sebenza feels great in the hand, but it's, again, like we mentioned here, a simple, straight-handled knife. This, just feels a little bit better. I like the fact that I've got a nice, fully sculpted, contoured 3D clip. Not because it's necessarily better, but you know more time was involved, more money was spent in order to do that. Yet they kept the price down. They are going to be offering upgrades soon in the future where you can replace all of your hardware with titanium if you want. And that's good for the guys that are going to go out and pimp these and do colorful anodization jobs and shit like that. You'll be able to then accent your knife however you want by anodizing your titanium hardware. Overall, I look at it as a simple knife, a wonderfully constructed knife, smooth, fast, sharp knife, and affordable. Now, affordable is relative. If you're watching my channel and you balk and say this isn't affordable, you haven't been watching my channel long enough. I tend to deal mostly with custom knives, higher end stuff that cost a lot more money. So when I look at this, this is a great budget knife. All of these are. And I can't see a reason why somebody wouldn't try one out. And you can still scream from the mountains all you want, "Oh, it's made in China." I don't care. You can bitch all you want until you've handled it. And then you flip them. And then you cut with them. And you feel the action. And you go, well, shit. It doesn't really matter where they're made. This is a damn well-made knife all the way around. And it's got features and benefits that we would typically only see in knives that cost more than this. And that's where I think Liong is a genius. He got in with Reate before anybody because he knew where the market was going. He began his career in knife designing and knife making as a collector, being that person sitting there on this side of the computer searching for the right knife, searching for something that excited him visually, that felt good in the hand, that was a good performer, that had the action that he wanted, and also was in the price range that he was comfortable spending. And that is exactly what he is turning out as a finished product to other collectors. Great balance, great performance, great action, great lockup, superior materials, everything that you would want, and also at a price that's more affordable than a comparable knife made the exact same way. And sometimes that's all a knife needs to be. It needs to be sharp, it needs to fit your hand well, and fit your budget well. There you go, guys. So there it is, a little bit longer than I expected it to be, but there's always something that pops up in my mind as I'm doing this that I want to focus on. And for this one, I think it's value. You know, for this, it was cool factor. For this, it was the intense design. This one gives you everything in one knife, larger size than the Warrior One, which in my opinion means it's going to be probably more of a user for more people. Being that larger size, still being compact, means you can carry it easily, and you're going to want to actually use it. So yeah, for me, this one was all about it does everything and does it in a good price range. Anyway, guys, I'm out of here for now. Thank you for watching. As always, we're going to get this uploaded, and I'm going to try to get some more videos done this weekend if I can make the time to do so. I'll catch you on the next one.